ഞാനൊന്നും പറഞ്ഞില്ല. എന്റെ അച്ഛൻ്റെ കാർഡ് കളിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയായിരുന്നു. ഒന്നാമത് നമുക്ക് അറിയാലോ സ്വഭാവം. കളിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞു. ഞാനൊന്നും പറഞ്ഞില്ല. ഓക്കെ, സോഷ്യൽ മനുഷ്യര് ചോദിച്ചു. നമുക്ക് രണ്ടെന്തോ ചെയ്തെന്നറിയോ, കാർഡ് ഒറ്റയൊരു മൊത്തം അത് എന്റെ കണ്ണി വന്ന് വീരാ, അവളുടെ അമ്മേന്റെ കണ്ണിൽ പോയി വീരാ. മോസ്റ്റ് ഇമ്പോർട്ടന്റ് ആര് പോയി കൊടുക്കും? അവള് കൊടുക്കത്തില്ല. കാറും എല്ലാം പിക്കപ്പ് ചെയ്തു. അത്ര ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞു. അതുപോലെ കാറും എല്ലാം പിക്കപ്പ് ചെയ്തു. എനിക്ക് പിക്കപ്പ് ഒന്നും ചെയ്യാൻ എനിക്കൊന്നും വയ്യാതിരിക്കുക. ഓക്കെ, എന്നിട്ട് അതുപോലെ നീ അന്ന് കണ്ടിട്ട് നമ്മുടെ ചെയറിന്റെ കുഷൻ, ആ ചെയറിന്റെ കുഷൻ ഭിത്തിൻ്റെ അടിയിൽ
Opika, mute yourself. Opika.
Sorry, sir.
Mute yourself. Good morning, students.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Morning all.
Good morning, sir.
Only 144 are there. What about gross anatomy of lung? Are you clear with that?
Sir. Yes, sir.
External features, apex base, costal surface, mediastinal surface, isn't it?
Yes.
At least you should be familiar with this. Histology of lung. Is it over or not?
So it's
Histology of lung
done,
is
sir.
over or not?
So it's not done, sir.
Not done. Histology of trachea lung we will have tomorrow only. And minutes are 155 are used. Okay, students, we'll start with development of lung. So already we studied about how that primitive gut is formed. So that is important here once again to recollect. So already we have studied about the primitive gut. It is divided into foregut, midgut, and hindgut. The primitive gut is formed by the incorporation of your endoderm and part of your yolk sac along with the embryo during your cephalocaudal folding. So that's what we studied in the development of GAT. Anyhow, once again we will recollect that. After that, we will go to that definite development of lung. So competency 25.2, actually it is a common competency for development of lung and heart. So 25.2, SLOs at the end of the class, you should be able to explain the development of lung correctly. Next, you should be able to demonstrate the development of lung accurately in the models. We have the model for development of lung and tracheobronchial tree. Next one, you should be able to correlate the embryological basis of congenital anomalies of development of lung. So this is the diagram frequently I am projecting. So to understand that cephalocaudal folding, what are the changes taking place during cephalocaudal folding? Repeatedly I am projecting to understand that your amniotic cavity that is present only on the dorsal aspect. After cephalocaudal folding completely encircle the fetus. So that point you have to understand. So during that cephalocaudal folding, your part of yolk sac along with endoderm. So this is the endoderm. So this is your yolk sac. It is getting incorporated along with the embryo to form that primitive gut. So that only repeatedly I am saying. So already we have studied about the fat of your primitive gut. So now we are going to see about one more outgrowth from the foregut. So that outgrowth is the respiratory diverticulum. So important point, the foregut is nothing but part of the primitive gut present at the cranial end of the embryo is called as foregut. If you trace the foregut cranially, that will be in contact with the surface depression of ectoderm called as stomatodium. So that is the site of future mouth. So important point you have to understand in this picture is formation of primitive gut. So primitive gut is nothing but your endoderm along with small part of yolk sac is incorporated into the embryo during cephalocaudal folding. So that is the primitive gut. That's why that original communication between the primitive gut and yolk sac is retained by the presence of your vitalo-intestinal duct. Vitalo-intestinal duct. Now, if you see that foregut is divided into two parts: pre-laryngeal part and post-laryngeal part. Pre-laryngeal and post-laryngeal. So first time I am telling. So whatever we have studied already, derivatives of foregut is from the post-laryngeal part only. How that foregut is getting divided into pre-laryngeal and post-laryngeal part, you can see in the next picture. So see that picture. So another diagram to show that your primitive gut. So this is the primitive gut. So foregut, midgut, and hindgut. Midgut connected to the yolk sac through vitalo-intestinal duct. So now this is the ventral aspect of the embryo. So this is the dorsal aspect. So on the dorsal aspect, we have our developing spinal cord. If you trace the spinal cord cranially, you will be having developing brain. So now this is that notochord that is stimulating the your differentiation of brain and spinal cord from the neural tube. Now see that. So this is your foregut. So in the next stage, so this is developing heart. Now this is the ventral aspect of the foregut. This is the dorsal aspect. So that you have to understand by the position of your spinal cord and notochord. So notochord and spinal cord are present on the dorsal aspect of the embryo. Your developing heart is present on the ventral aspect. Your vitalo-intestinal duct connecting stalk will be on the ventral aspect after the cephalocaudal folding. So this picture is after the cephalocaudal folding. That's why the septum transversum is down to the developing heart. Now you see the next picture. So this is the foregut. So this is the ventral wall of foregut, important for MCQ. Now from the ventral wall of foregut, we have one outgrowth. Ventral wall of foregut, we have one outgrowth. That outgrowth is called as laryngeal diverticulum or lung bud. So this is called as lung bud or laryngeal diverticulum. So our respiratory diverticulum, all are same. Respiratory diverticulum, laryngeal diverticulum, or lung bud, all are same. So after the formation of this respiratory diverticulum, your foregut is divided into pre-laryngeal part. So this is called as pre-laryngeal part. Now, caudal to that, what we have is the post-laryngeal part. So that post-laryngeal part only gives rise to stomach, followed by, if you go down, we'll be having developing stomach and your proximal part of duodenum. Okay, so now because of this formation of your respiratory diverticulum, your foregut is divided into pre-laryngeal part and post-laryngeal part. Same thing we are going to read once again in the head and neck while reading about the development of head and neck. Now you see this picture in the pre-laryngeal part. You are having formation of some structure. It is numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is not there, 6 is there. These are all called as pharyngeal arches. Pharyngeal arches. Usually 6 arches will be formed on each side. Fifth one will disappear in the early stage itself. That's why it is not mentioned here. So these pharyngeal arches are formed by the segmentation of the mesoderm to give rise to structures present in the head and neck. So that later on we will see. Now we are concerned with only about this respiratory diverticulum, laryngeal diverticulum, or lung bud. It is getting originated from the ventral aspect of foregut. So that means nothing but it is foregut, or your primitive gut is nothing but your endoderm with small part of yolk sac. So this endoderm gives rise to the epithelial lining of our tracheobronchial tree up to the level of alveolus. Up to the level of alveolus, we have the epithelium. So that epithelium is derived from this endoderm. So that point you have to keep it in mind. So if you take your, so tomorrow you are going to read about your microscopic features of trachea and lung. In that, similar to your GIT, we have mucosa, submucosa. Okay, then your muscularis externa and serosa. Here also you will be having layers. First, mucosa. Mucosa means, what are the components of mucosa in GIT? Anyone? Components of mucosa in GIT.
Epithelium, lamina, muscularis.
Not only lamina propria. Lamina propria with muscularis mucosa, that is called as mucosa. So like that, here also you will be having mucosa. So you will be having epithelium supporting connective tissue lamina propria. Of course, here we won't get muscularis mucosa, but you will be having a layer of thin elastic fibers. So that is your mucosa. Next, you will be having submucosa. Then in the trachea, next to that submucosa, you will be having plate of cartilage, hyaline cartilage. So then if you go after to that, you will be having serosa. So like that, if you go to the bronchus, your primary bronchus will be exactly similar to your trachea. Then your principal bronchus, secondary bronchus, okay, tertiary bronchus, bronchiole, like that. If you go, you will be having lining epithelium. In addition to that, we will be having our lamina propria. Okay, then you will be having changes in that. So instead of your hyaline cartilage, you will be having plates of cartilage. Next, you will be having disappearance of cartilage, but you will be having more of smooth muscles. All those things, other than the epithelium, remaining all layers of trachea, bronchus, tracheobronchial tree, and the remaining parenchyma of the lung are derived from your splanchnic layer of lateral, in the lateral plate mesoderm. After the formation of your intraembryonic coelom divided into splanchnopluric layer and somatopluric layer. So from that splanchnopluric layer, you will be having formation of remaining all layers of your GI, your respiratory tract, including your visceral pleura. Everything is derived from that your mesoderm, splanchnopluric layer of intraembryonic mesoderm. So that is important. So the endoderm gives rise to only epithelium. Remaining all layer, including supporting lamina propria, it is derived from mesoderm only. So now if you see this, your respiratory diverticulum or lung bud, it is getting originated from the foregut. That's why this original communication between the respiratory system and your GIT is maintained. It is maintained in the adult life also, that we are going to read in head and neck. Okay, so that laryngeal inlet of larynx, the communication between the pharynx and larynx. Okay, so that's why that communication is there. It is guarded by your epiglottis. So that the movement of epiglottis upward only prevents the entry of food into the your respiratory tract. That also you would have studied in physiology. So various stages of swallowing. So now what happens to this respiratory diverticulum? So that respiratory diverticulum is nothing but the ventral outgrowth from the foregut, or otherwise from the ventral wall of foregut. We have an outgrowth, endodermal outgrowth, that only called as laryngeal diverticulum, respiratory diverticulum, or your lung bud, all are same. Now, as it is getting originated from, see the diagram. So this is your foregut. So this blue color structure is the your respiratory diverticulum. So nicely given. Okay, or otherwise called as laryngotracheal orifice. The communication is called as laryngotracheal orifice. Now, once this is formed, it should be separated from this our esophagus. So here you see, so this part of foregut gives rise to our esophagus. So that is post laryngeal part of foregut gives rise to esophagus. If you come down, you will be having your stomach. So now one ridge is formed. You see this. So this is the your side view. This is anteroposterior view. Now see that. So this is your future esophagus. So this is your respiratory diverticulum getting originated from this your foregut. Once it is formed, you will be having formation of a ridge called as tracheoesophageal ridge. So it is formed on either side, tracheoesophageal ridge. Later on, the two ridges will fuse to form a septum. So that septum is called as tracheoesophageal septum. Okay, so two ridges are formed, that is called as tracheoesophageal ridge. Later on, both ridges fuse to form a septum, that is called as tracheoesophageal septum. So once that septum is completely formed, so our cranial part of respiratory diverticulum, that is going to give rise to your trachea, is getting separated from the esophagus. So your respiratory diverticulum or lung bud, cranial part of that respiratory diverticulum give rise to trachea. Furthermore, cranially it gives rise to small part of larynx. The cartilages of larynx are later on we are going to read in head and neck about the development that is coming from your pharyngeal arches. So this tracheoesophageal ridge later on fused to form tracheoesophageal septum, that only separates the trachea and the esophagus. So that is called as the formation of tracheoesophageal septum and separation of your respiratory diverticulum from the esophagus. But this original communication is maintained. This opening is maintained, but that septum separates the distal part of your esophagus and trachea only. So if there is any defect in this formation of your tracheoesophageal septum, what will happen? Yes, students, if there is any defect in the
So tracheoesophageal
Food
fistula.
can
very good.
food will enter the respiratory system.
Very good, very good. Food will enter into the your respiratory system. So somebody rightly told that leads to tracheoesophageal fistula. So that is the fistula means already I told what you mean by fistula and sinus. Fistula means opening will be there on either end. So you will be communicating your trachea and esophagus. You will be having fistula. That is called as tracheoesophageal fistula. So that is the embryological basis of tracheoesophageal fistula. So if there is any defect in the formation of tracheoesophageal ridges as well as the fusion of the tracheoesophageal ridges leads to tracheoesophageal fistula. Okay, so of course, same picture, same line diagram given in your book. It is otherwise given as tracheobronchial groove. Both are same, respiratory diverticulum or tracheobronchial groove. Okay, so it is getting originated from the ventral wall of foregut. So that's all. Then the septum is formed here to separate them. Once that lung bed or your respiratory diverticulum descends downwards after the formation of your tracheoesophageal septum, it descends downwards and getting divided into two. So here also actually this part will be trachea definitely. So now this bud is called as bronchial bud. This is called as bronchial bud. So your respiratory diverticulum or lung bed. So this part is called as lung bed. So it is getting divided into two bronchial buds. It is exactly similar to your trachea getting divided into principal bronchus. Later on, if you take that bronchial bud, it is getting divided into three branches on the right side, two branches on the left side. So what is the reason for this, students?
Present
Three lobes on the right lung and two lobes on the left lung.
Very good, very good. Presence of three lobes on the right side, two lobes on the left side. So now that bronchial bud that gives rise to principal bronchus getting divided into three on the right side to form three secondary bronchi. On the left side, two secondary bronchi. Now, if you see this secondary bronchi, once again they are getting divided into tertiary bronchus. Tertiary bronchi. Like that, you will be having continuous division of that bronchial bud to give rise to our entire tracheobronchial tree. So what I am telling now is that epithelium only derived from that endoderm. Remaining all layers. So tomorrow you are going to read about it. Mucosa, submucosa, cartilage, serosa, everything will be derived from your splanchnopluric layer of intraembryonic mesoderm only. Only that epithelium till the alveoli, it is derived from your endoderm. So like that we have continuous division. So we have formation of your tracheobronchial tree. Now the surrounding mesoderm, surrounding this you will be having your splanchnopluric layer of intraembryonic mesoderm will be completely surrounding this respiratory diverticulum and its branches. So those splanchnopluric layer of intraembryonic mesoderm gives rise to remaining all part of the all layers of tracheobronchial tree, including your parenchyma of the lung. So that is very important. Simply you can say entire lung and your tracheobronchial tree are derived from your respiratory diverticulum. So respiratory diverticulum is a ventral outgrowth that gives rise to your lining epithelium of tracheobronchial tree only. So remaining all are mesodermal in origin. Epithelium is endodermal in origin. Now once it is formed, so see this picture. So on the day itself I told while telling about the body cavities. So that body cavity in the at the level of abdomen it is called as peritoneal cavity. If you trace it forwards cranially, you will be having your pericardial cavity. Connecting these two, you will be having pericardio-peritoneal canal. So this developing lung bud, your bronchial bud getting divided into various branches, they are entering into the your pericardio-peritoneal canal only. So that part of pericardio-peritoneal canal, later on it will be getting separated from the peritoneum as well as pleural cavity. Then only it will be called as pleural cavity. Till the time it is called as pericardio-peritoneal canal only. So important for your MCQ. So the developing lung buds are entering into the pericardio-peritoneal canal. So if you see the diagram or if you recollect the diagram and video what I have projected while taking the about the development of diaphragms, you can understand this. So they are entering into the pericardio-peritoneal canal. Inside only it is getting completely divided to form your tracheobronchial tree. So basically, if you take your respiratory tract, it is divided into two parts, conducting part and the respiratory part. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Up to which level it is called as conducting part?
Bronchus,
Physiology.
Bronchus.
respiratory.
Tertiary bronchi.
Tertiary bronchi. Somebody told alveoli. Yes. Any other difference of opinion in this?
So alveoli
Alveoli
is
is not
the exchange parts. Everything else is conducting part.
Alveoli, only alveoli is the respiratory part. The meaning of
Terminal bronchi.
Terminal bronchi.
Terminal bronchi and
Ah,
alveoli are the respiratory parts.
yes, up to terminal bronchiole, it is called as conducting part. Your terminal bronchiole is getting divided into 2 to 3 respiratory bronchiole. So that respiratory bronchiole is the beginning part of your respiratory part. So in that wall of your respiratory bronchiole, you will be having here and there, you will be having formation of your alveoli here and there only you will be having, not continuous. That's why we used to tell as respiratory bronchiole as your transitory part. It is having the function of conduction as well as initiation of respiration. Then alveolar duct, your respiratory bronchiole leads to 2 to 3 alveolar duct. Then only alveoli, you will be having alveolar sac and alveoli. So up to the terminal bronchiole, it is called as conducting part. So these branches, your bronchial bud will divide continuously up to the level of your terminal bronchiole. So up to that, it is called as a stage called as pseudo glandular stage. Later I will tell about it while telling about the maturation of lung. So up to that terminal bronchiole, it is called as conducting part. After the terminal bronchiole, we have respiratory bronchiole. That is called as transitory part, where we have conduction as well as beginning of respiration. After that, till the alveoli, it is called as respiratory part. So that is the division of your respiratory tracheobronchial tree into your conducting part and respiratory part, not up to the tertiary bronchus. So tertiary bronchus continuously divide to form terminal bronchiole. Up to the terminal bronchiole, it is called as conducting part. Just to imagine, so that the division takes place in this pericardio-peritoneal canal only. So that pericardio-peritoneal canal is later on named as pleural cavity. Already I told that splanchna. So this is where endodermal outgrowth getting divided. So this endodermal outgrowth is covered by your splanchnopleuric layer of your intraembryonic mesoderm. So that already I told that splanchnopleuric layer gives rise to the visceral pleura. The somatopleuric layer gives rise to parietal pleura. So that is also important now. Already you studied about your pleura, parietal pleura and visceral pleura. Your visceral pleura is otherwise called as?
Sir, the pulmonary pleura.
Very good. Pulmonary pleura. Your which pleura is getting divided into various parts?
So the parietal pleura.
Parietal pleura is getting divided into cervical part, costal part, mediastinal part, and diaphragmatic part. Which is sensitive to pain?
The
Which pleura is sensitive to pain, whether parietal or visceral?
So parietal.
Parietal only sensitive to pain. Your visceral pleura is not sensitive to pain. Visceral pleura, everything, nerve supply, arterial supply, venous drainage, lymphatic drainage for your visceral pleura will be similar to lung. It is different for your parietal pleura. It is similar to your body wall. So that is the basic thing. In case of pericardium, in case of your peritoneum, also same thing. Okay, so now that lung bud is getting divided into bronchial buds. Bronchial buds getting divided into secondary, tertiary, then terminal bronchial. Up to that we have continuous division. It is taking place inside the pericardio-peritoneal canal only. So now on the day itself I explained. So like this, you have continuous division inside the pericardio-peritoneal canal. So based on that presence of 3 lobes on the right side and 2 lobes on the right side, sorry, left side, you will be having that lobular pattern. So now this what is given in red color is the your outline of pericardio-peritoneal canal. That's what it is continuously getting divided inside the your pericardio-peritoneal canal. While it is getting divided inside the pericardio-peritoneal canal, so this is the transverse section. You see that. So now this is the peritoneum that is present on the ventral aspect. Behind that, we will be having pericardio-peritoneal canal. Into that, developing lung is projecting. So now your pericardio-peritoneal canal should be separated from the pericardium first. That is formed by the formation of pleuropericardial fold. So on the day itself I told. So this pleuropericardial fold, what is formed on either side, getting fused. Okay, so after the fusion, the pericardial cavity will be separated from this part of your pericardio-peritoneal canal where your developing lung is projecting. Okay, after this fusion of this pleuropericardial fold, that your future pleural cavity is completely getting separated from this pericardial cavity. So that's what it is getting separated. At least you remember this name, pleuropericardial fold. Okay, so both will meet together in the median plane. That leads to separation of our pleural cavity from pericardial cavity. Later on, this pleural cavity is getting separated from that peritoneal cavity by the formation of another membrane that is called as pleuroperitoneal membrane. So that also I told while telling about the development of our diaphragm. So pleuroperitoneal membrane. That's what this pericardio-peritoneal canal getting separated from the peritoneum as well as from the pericardium. So otherwise it will be in continuation with your peritoneum and pericardium only. So that's what in the beginning stage the body cavities are. As the body, all the body cavities are derived from intra-embryonic zelo. It will be in communication with each other. Peritoneum, pericardium, and your pericardio-peritoneal canal all will be continuous with each other. During the development of lung and heart, that your pericardium is getting separated, pericardial cavity is getting separated from pleural cavity. During the development of your diaphragm, your pleural cavity is getting separated from the peritoneal cavity. So that already we studied. So now the another thing, another part what you should know is the maturation of lung. Maturation of lung. We have 3 or 4 stages in them. 3 or 4 stages of maturation of lung. So already you know the function of your lung. Okay, so the respiration or your exchange of your carbon dioxide and oxygen is the main function. So already you know that. If we see the first picture, so this is called as canalicular stage. Before that I told pseudo-glandular stage. So first stage is called as pseudo-glandular stage. That pseudo-glandular stage is nothing but up to the formation of terminal bronchiole. Up to the formation of terminal bronchiole only, we will be having tracheobronchial tree. So already you know that you are up to the terminal bronchiole, it is called as conducting part. So during that pseudo-glandular stage, you will be having formation of your tracheobronchial tree up to the terminal bronchus. Important for MCQ once again. Up to the terminal bronchiole, you will be having pseudo-glandular stage. So next stage is called as canalicular stage. Next stage is called as canalicular stage, what you are seeing in this picture. Now see this picture. What happens to the terminal bronchiole? See the picture and
Respiratory bronchial.
it is getting divided into 2 to 3 respiratory bronchiole. So during the canalicular stage, you will be having formation of respiratory bronchiole. Respiratory bronchiole will be formed from the terminal bronchiole. So formation of this respiratory bronchiole or up to the respiratory bronchiole, you will be having canalicular stage. Canalicular stage. So what about respiration is possible now in this stage? See the picture and tell.
I think so, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Any difference of opinion?
So respiration is possible, but it won't actually happen within the fetus, right, sir?
That's okay. But is it possible or not now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, possible.
How come?
Low management.
Because blood capillaries are also present.
Blood capillaries are there.
So
But
it's not
what,
possible, sir.
Not possible.
very good.
So
very good.
alveolar ducts are
the
formed, but
blood-air
alveoli
barrier
is not formed yet.
Okay, that is one point. Alveoli yet to be formed.
So the
Okay.
blood-air
The
barrier is not
respiratory bronchiole. Another thing you see that your capillaries are far away from the bronchioles or alveoli. It is far away. Your capillaries should be in close contact with your alveoli. Then only respiration is possible. So here the capillaries are far away. Okay, the exchange will not take place. Okay, so in the canalicular stage, there is no possibility of respiration. So now next stage is called as terminal sac stage. So what is the difference between canalicular stage and terminal sac stage? See the picture and tell.
The capillaries
Capillary are coming
closer
contact.
Capillaries are in close contact with alveoli. So in this stage only, we are having formation of alveoli from the respiratory bronchiole. From the respiratory bronchiole, we have formation of alveoli. So these are the alveoli. Alveoli are formed. Now you see that your capillaries are in close contact with your alveoli. So here we don't get alveoli at all. From the respiratory bronchiole, first here and there you will be having formation of alveoli with alveolar cells. So this terminal sac stage. What about now? Respiration is possible or not?
Now it's possible, sir.
It's possible.
Not yet possible. Not yet possible or possible?
Sir, it's possible
It's
now.
possible. Sir.
It's possible now. It's possible now. Now this stage, the terminal sac stage will be attained by the 7th month of intrauterine life. By the 7th month of intrauterine life, we will be attaining this terminal sac stage. So that's why that 7th month is called as your viable period of your fetus. So suppose if you have delivery after that completion of your 7th month, the viability, there is chance for the viability of the fetus. That's why that is called as viable period. By the time if delivery occurs, there is chance for respiration. Okay, so that's why this is called as terminal sac stage. Now next stage is called as your alveolar stage or alveolar sac stage. Okay, so this is alveolar stage. By this time, you will be having formation of more alveoli, you will be furthermore intimacy between your capillary and the alveoli will take place. Okay, so that's why this is called as alveolar stage. So this alveolar stage will be attained after delivery also. This maturation will take place in the childhood also. Okay, so furthermore maturation after that. Okay, so here also you will be having formation of furthermore alveoli. Then the intimacy between the alveoli and your capillary will be more. So now we have here the air, here we have that your, in this capillaries you will be having your blood. Now here air, here blood. So here this air contains more of your O2. So here you will be having deoxygenated blood containing your carbon dioxide. So exchange takes place here only. Okay, so that's why this is called as blood air barrier. Blood air barrier, barrier between your air present in the alveoli and the your blood present in the capillaries. What are that layers of blood air barrier? Already respiration is over, isn't it, in physiology?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Alveolar
There's
membrane.
the alveolar membrane and the capillary.
Membrane next to the capillary membrane and
Alveolar membrane means
endothelium.
So the
The basement membrane,
membrane.
basement membrane.
the endothelium,
Alveolar
capillary
Basement membrane on either
On
side.
the
Am I correct?
Yes.
Basement membrane of alveoli, basement membrane of your endothelium. On the capillary side, you have endothelial cells, and the alveolar side, you have alveolar cells. Am I correct? So
Yes.
that is blood air barrier. That the intimacy between the alveoli and your capillaries takes place in the alveolar stage only. So it will be very thin. You will be having basement membrane of alveoli in close contact with basement membrane of capillary. On the other side, you will be having simple squamous endothelial cells and the capillary. This side, you will be having simple squamous epithelium of your alveoli. That is your blood air barrier. So this closeness, thinning of that blood air barrier takes place in the alveolar stage only. Okay, so that is your maturation of lung. So by this time, you will be having formation of these alveolar cells in the alveoli. So already you have studied, so you will be having type 1, type 2 cells, isn't it? Type 1 alveolar cells and type 2 alveolar cell. So what is the function of your type 2 alveolar cell?
Surfactant
Surfactant
synthesis of surfactants.
Yes, very good, very good. It secretes surfactant. So that's why the type 1 cell will be simple squamous epithelium. So your type 2 cells will be larger than that type 1 cell. Okay, so it will be with numerous microvilli. So it secretes your surfactant. So that is more important to maintain the patency of the alveoli. So it reduces the surface tension. So that is the main function of your surfactant. So that is important for the maintenance of the alveoli, alveolar patency. Otherwise during expiration, the alveoli will be collapsed. Okay, so now important point, our COVID-19 coronavirus mainly affects your type 2 alveolar cells only. The type 2 alveolar cells are mainly affected by the coronavirus. That's why it leads to collapse of the lung. If in the severe cases, it leads to collapse of the lung due to the absence of your surfactant. Same thing may occur in the fetal life also. So it is called as acute respiratory distress syndrome. Acute respiratory distress, RDS, respiratory distress syndrome. Suppose if the delivery occurs before the your terminal sac stage. So the same thing will happen. So there is no alveoli, there is no alveolar cells, so no surfactant. So that leads to respiratory distress syndrome and death. Okay, so that's why, but this can be induced. This in suppose the delivery occurs just before the 7th month, by giving steroids, we can induce the formation of your alveolar cells as well as the surfactant. So nowadays, sometimes it is possible by giving this, or suppose if we expect the delivery by the time, the doctors are giving steroid to the mother so that we can manage your delivery as well as the respiration of the fetus. So pseudoglandular stage means you will be having formation of your tracheobronchial tree up to the terminal bronchus only. So that is your we have formation of only conducting part, terminal bronchiole. Next, the stage is the canalicular stage. During the canalicular stage, we have formation of respiratory bronchiole. From the terminal bronchiole, 2 to 3 respiratory bronchiole will be formed. So that is canalicular stage. By this time, there is no chance for respiration. Next stage is terminal sac stage. During this stage, you will be having formation of your alveoli from the terminal, your respiratory bronchiole. From the respiratory bronchiole, you will be having formation of alveoli. Now these capillaries are in close contact with your alveoli. So by this stage, the respiration is possible. So we are attaining this stage by the 7th month of intrauterine life. So that's why the 7th month is called as viable period of fetus. Suppose if delivery occurs after the completion of the 7th month, respiration is possible. So that's why it is called as viable period, important for MCQ. So next stage is the alveolar stage. So here you will be having further more formation of your alveoli. Numerous alveoli will be formed. You will be having formation of type 1, type 2 alveolar cells. That capillaries will be dipping into the alveoli, or projecting into the alveoli. So during this time, there will be thinning of this blood-air barrier. So there is more chance for exchange of gases. So that's why this stage is called as alveolar stage. So that is the maturation of the lung. So see the pseudoglandular stage up to 16th week. So we'll be having formation of only terminal bronchiole. Canalicular period extends from 16 to 26 weeks. By this time, we'll be having formation of respiratory bronchiole. Terminal sac period 26th week to birth. Okay, so you'll be having formation of your alveoli, but it will be in primitive form. In the alveolar period, see that from 8th month to the childhood. Okay, you will be having your final maturation of your lung. You will be having formation of more and more alveoli, and well-defined blood-air barrier will be formed by that time. That is the maturation of the lung. Now we will see that small video development of tracheobronchial tree and lung. So this is ectoderm. So this is endoderm. So nothing but our foregut. So this is the pre-laryngeal part of foregut, where we have formation of pharyngeal arches. Arches, pouches, cleft, everything will be formed in the pre-laryngeal part. Now this is the respiratory diverticulum formed from the ventral wall of foregut. So this part of video we will be seeing only in the head and neck. So this is the ventral aspect of your pharyngeal arches. So see that 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6 arches, pharyngeal arches. So this we will read in head and neck. formation of the laryngeal opening. You see that? So this is the site of formation of your respiratory diverticulum. So laryngeotracheal groove. See that it is present like a vertical slit. This will be converted into T-shaped opening due to the formation of your laryngeal cartilages. So that is the site of inlet of larynx. How it is getting converted into T-shaped opening? By the formation of your epiglottis and other cartilages of larynx. Yes. This we will be reading in the head and neck. Now you see that. So this is the respiratory diverticulum ventral outgrowth. Note that is the ventral outgrowth. Oh, yes. Now you see that this is endoderm. This is your mesoderm, splanchnopleuric layer of mesoderm covering the endoderm. So here your mesoderm is removed to show that only endoderm. So this is that laryngeal inlet. See that the tracheo-esophageal ridges. So right and left ridge. Fusion of that ridge leads to separation. So now what you have on the posterior aspect is the esophagus. What you have anteriorly is the trachea. So that is tracheo-esophageal septum. Now esophagus is getting separated from trachea. Now your bronchial bud, your lung bud is getting divided into two. Bronchial bud. Next your secondary bronchus. Note that this is the covering mesoderm. Covering mesoderm given in that color is the covering mesoderm, giving rise to remaining all layers of tracheobronchial tree and lung except the lining epithelium. Like that, you will be having continuous division of your bronchial bud to give rise to your terminal bronchiole in the pseudoglandular stage. Pseudoglandular stage. So that is the formation of respiratory bronchiole during canalicular stage. Terminal sac stage. Alveoli are getting formed. The intimacy between capillary and your alveoli takes place. This is alveolar period. Furthermore, formation of more number of alveoli and close contact between the capillary and the alveoli takes place. So that concludes the development of lung and tracheobronchial tree. We will see that what are the congenital anomalies taking place during that period. So this is the your congenital anomalies due to the defective formation of tracheobronchial septum. Tracheobronchial septum. So already you told tracheoesophageal fistula. Tracheoesophageal fistula. Sorry, one mistake is there. TRACEH is missing. See the diagram, and you can understand by seeing the diagram itself. So see that first diagram. your proximal part of esophagus is present like a blind pouch. The distal part is in contact with your trachea. It is opening into the trachea. So another possibility, you can have your proximal and distal pouches. There is no communication between the esophagus at all. These are all various degrees of failure of formation of your tracheoesophageal septum.
So this can be corrected, right, sir?
All these B and all not possible.
Sir?
B and all not possible. Of course, it is extremely rare. This here we need only just the separation only. This and all we can do. Here also something is possible. Someplace we can do this and we can mobilize and fix it. Suppose if the segment is very long, it is difficult. We can't mobilize this to connect this. So other variations. Okay. So all these things, what you have to remember is tracheoesophageal fistula. That is due to defective formation of tracheoesophageal septum. Okay, similar to that, your urorectal septum. So already I told while telling about your endodermal cloaca, defective formation of urorectal septum. Like that is a tracheoesophageal septum. Other thing related to lung, we can have formation of abnormal bronchi like this. So your respiratory diverticulum or lung bud getting divided into bronchial bud. Before that, we can have branching of your bronchus anywhere proximal to that your bifurcation of trachea. Okay, so like that abnormal bronchus we can have anyway. Sometimes it will be associated with small mass of lung tissue also. So these are all accessory bronchus. So here no problem at all. One extra bronchus is entering into the lung vessel. So the lung bud may divide at any level before that common bifurcation into bronchial buds. Like that we can have abnormal lobes also. So routinely we have 3 lobes on the right side, 2 lobes on the left side. So you can have accessory lobes also. Any other named accessory lobe you learned while reading about your gross anatomy? Any other named accessory lobes?
Azygous lobe.
What?
Azygous lobe.
Azygous lobe. So already you know that azygous vein is arching over the hilum of your right lung to open into the superior vena cava. That's what you have studied. Sometimes the azygous vein may pass through the substance of lung, separating the apex of the lung into 2 lobes. So that is called as azygous lobe. So that may occur. So this is the azygous lobe. Passing of that azygous vein, instead of arching over the your roof of the hilum on the right side, it may pass into the lung tissue and getting or separating the very small part of the lung as a separate lobe. That is called as azygous lobe. Azygous lobe. Nothing but the azygous vein is entering into the lung and opening into the SVC. Very rare. You can have that formation of your bronchus distal to the lung also. This is abnormal bronchus. Abnormal bronchus with some lung tissue. So this already I told hyaline membrane disease or respiratory distress syndrome. If there is failure of formation of your type 2 alveolar cells, there won't be surfactant. So as we don't get surfactant, there will be collapse of the lung. So that secretions present in the lung will form a membrane that is called as hyaline membrane. So that's why it is otherwise called as hyaline membrane disease. This can occur congenitally, or sometimes in adult it can occur. Now, because of COVID, as this is affecting your coronavirus is affecting your type 2 alveolar cells, the same thing may happen. So that is called as adult respiratory distress syndrome. Okay, distress syndrome. So here there is failure of formation of type 2 alveolar cells congenitally. In adult life, if that particular type 2 cells are getting affected, there won't be secretion of surfactant, leading to collapse of the lung during expiration, leading to death. That is respiratory distress syndrome. That may takes place congenitally or after delivery. In adult life also we can have this. That is called as adult respiratory distress syndrome or severe respiratory distress syndrome, SRDS. SRDS is coming under our COVID-19. So this can happen congenitally also. So that concludes the development of your lung and tracheobronchial tree. Say a small topic. So next we will be seeing our development of heart tomorrow. Tomorrow and day after tomorrow we will be having development of heart. What about having class at 9?
Sir, tomorrow, day after tomorrow.
Sir, can you cancel the class online, sir? Because I have to travel.
So you will be in travel.
So it's difficult, sir.
Sir,
It's only for Pranav or
So many
all
people,
your
So
sir.
many have to travel, sir.
what about physiology? What they told? At the day we have two anatomy, one physiology classes.
So we'll ask the physiology today, sir.
Okay. So if most of you will be in travel means we can cancel the class on the day. Not canceling, postpone. That 9th class will be postponed to some other day. Okay. So that majority of the people are asking means we can plan for it. What students?
Yes, sir.
Only 10 are there in the class. Only that 10 students are asking. What about the other students?
No, sir, everyone has to travel there. Sir.
Everyone has to travel. So we can postpone the class, isn't it?
Sir, RT-PCR, so when does it have to be something like taken care of?
When you are coming to the hostel,
I think 10.
so you may be going for RT-PCR. That's what you are telling.
Yes, sir, like one day.
Okay. In that case, okay, no problem. So 9th class we will postpone to some other day. No problem at all. So you'll be having 2 classes. One is development of heart, other one is fibroskeleton and conducting system of heart. Okay, that's no problem. If everyone is will be busy with RT-PCR and travel means we can postpone the class on the day 9th. Okay, but what about the test? When we are going to give the test?
Sir, we have test on 16th and on 31st, sir.
Sir, we have a
16th you have.
biochemistry test on
The
16th.
16th we have biochemistry, 31st we have
During,
physiology.
time?
College open,
Time?
sir.
4 to 4.
2 to 4.
Sir, 2 to 4.
2 to 4.
Online only.
Online only. Yeah, okay. Physical test this
Sir,
time
can-
it's not possible. For next time we will plan for the physical test. Okay. So then when do you want to give? 16th you have another test.
Sir, can
16th
we not have a
biochemistry.
test since
So
college
16th
open?
and 31st we have tests.
So also on 26th we have
Which test
anatomy test.
on 31st?
So 31st we have physiology.
Physiology. Time?
7 to 1, sir.
16th and 31st. In that case, that is second week you have one test. 4th week you have one test. So we can have on the 3rd week. Huh?
Sir, if we have another test, the postponed test, will it be only pelvis or will you mix in the next portion as well, sir?
So that is there.
So on 26th we have thorax test, no sir.
26. That's what we planned already. I don't know what to do now.
Sir, why don't you combine everything and keep a test next one, sir? I don't know if others
No,
want it.
combining means entire thorax, then entire pelvis you have, little bit abdomen also you have.
Yes,
Jenny,
sir, it
If
will
you
be too
combine
much.
little bit head and neck also, it will be tedious for you.
We have pelvis on 26th and the rest.
So why
will
can't
join.
we have the 26th on pelvis?
So not 20.
23rd, sir.
First or 23rd.
22nd or something.
Yes, sir. Not 26th. We'll only have 4 days for
Because
physiology.
2 to 4 you will be having only on 19th. Monday only you are coming in the afternoon, isn't it? Monday or Tuesday?
So Monday we have an
Mondays.
option.
Monday and Thursday we're coming, sir. So
So
we have
that I
2.
will discuss with the faculty and let you know.
Yes, sir.
And
So
sir,
third
please can
week
you
you
sir
will be
provide us the
having
schedule, sir?
pardon?
Sir, can you provide us the schedule for like?
Schedule is under confusion, man. After you come here only we have to plan for it. Anyhow, tentative schedule I made for 1 week. Okay, that I will put.
Can you keep the test somewhere between 20th and 25th, sir? Because we want some time to study for physiology and some time to study for this test as well, sir.
So that's what I am telling. 16th you have biochemistry. Biochemistry. 31st you have physiology.
Yes, sir.
So that's what I'm telling. If you have our test on 23, 24 like that, it will be easy
Yes,
for
sir.
you.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Can you,
Yes, sir.
sir, can you
Oh.
keep pelvis separately, sir?
And that's what I'm telling. What we have postponed, that is supposed to be conducted on 8th, tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
That
Yes, sir.
we will have separately. Another 1 week we will have thorax separate. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I will find out the date and let you know once you come here.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Are you clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now the class is over. So
Thank
tomorrow I will start with the development of art. Okay. So another class we'll have after that.
Thank you, sir.
Now, okay. Yes.
Sir, do MSCs have offline classes, sir?
Pardon?
Do MSCs have offline classes?
This is the problem. I don't know what to do. We have to meet the dean and we have to put a request also.
Okay,
But
sir.
he didn't tell anything.
Sir.
But we'll find out and let you know. Huh?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Only dean has asked to come that final year students, those who are giving the exam now. 19th onwards, they have final year exam. So dean has asked to come those students only now, right now.
Okay,
But
sir.
we will let you know.
Okay,
Okay.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay, students. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.